Hi, my name is DJ Chuang, and in this video I'll be answering the question, what are some good ways to find Christian therapists? Well, I'll give you the first disclaimer, which is I'm just a person who experiences struggle with mental health, and I do see a Christian therapist trained in secular college or university with a degree, a couple degrees, and there are those who are trained in other schools, Christian colleges, and others who may have other kinds of training. But finding a Christian therapist is a great way to have the professional support towards your mental health recovery and healing process. And finding one can be challenging because in this era of post-pandemic time that we live in, therapists are not readily available because their schedule and their workload is just very full and perhaps even overflowing. So the availability of one is one challenge because there's so much need and there's not enough therapists with available time to take on new clients. Number two, there are a lot of therapists that are not Christians, so finding Christian therapists shrinks the number of available therapists that may have the professional training to help someone who is struggling with mental health. And third, not all Christian therapists will be helpful to you. And that's just a limitation of our humanity and personality, that some people will help us more because they have a shared life experience with us. Perhaps culture competency has become a known factor. So for example, for someone who is an Asian American therapist, they would be more helpful to me as an Asian American because I don't have to explain so much of my Asian American experience with my family life and living in American society. Whereas I've also had opportunities in my life to work with non-Asian American therapists, and I wind up spending more of my time explaining rather than just working on the issues that are present in my life during a therapy session. And then secondly, related to that, finding the right therapist can take 1 or 2 sessions to determine if the chemistry and the ease of conversation is there for you, for the person that is getting the therapy. And so if you as the subject or the client who is getting the therapy finds it more challenging than it needs to be to share your story and to invite the therapist for help, you wind up expending more energy during the therapy trying to get through to the therapist instead of feeling like you're supported and you're making progress in lightening your load and getting the insights and the reflections that you're seeking during a therapy session. So there's a subjective element that is up to the person who is seeing the therapist to decide if the therapist is helpful or not as helpful. And I would encourage you to factor that in as you decide on working with a therapist. And a third thing I'll mention is ask for referrals. People that know you and people that know therapists that they've trusted and have had good experiences with, a personal referral is always a good guide towards finding a therapist. And then of course there's a few places where they have websites and directories, and like many of us, I too use Google or DuckDuckGo as a search engine to try to find a Christian therapist. So there you go. I hope that's helpful. feel free to drop me a line if I can help you personally. See the link in the description.